Hi, this is Andrea.
And this is Fiorenza.
Welcome to the Belonging Project podcast. We are so excited to have you here with us.
The purpose of this podcast is to bring voices together to talk about belonging. Through inspiring, real-life conversations with our guests, we learn about how belonging can show up in so many different ways, what it feels like to belong, and the impact of truly belonging.
In each episode, we will offer you inspirational and practical strategies to find your true voice in your life, in society, and as a leader. Let's dive in.
Our guest today is Chen. Anna and I go back a few years. We got to know each other through our coaching work. Anna is a French-born Chinese living in France, in Paris. She launched last year the Instagram account called Être Femme Asiatique, which translates in English to being an Asian woman, where she's sharing her experience as an Asian woman living in France. She talks about her struggles and inspirations about identity, racism, their relationship with Asian parents, the generational gap, cultural transmission, being a daughter of immigrants. She has gathered a thriving community of Asian women who are feeling heard and seen. She helps raise awareness and consciousness about matters that are felt but not expressed enough, if ever, by Asian women. Her goal is to help Asian women own and understand their experience and find ease in the daily discomfort that is felt when you are an Asian woman living in a Western country. Dear Anna, thank you for being our guest. And we would like to start by asking you to share with us more about you and your story in your own words.
First, thank you, Andrea and Fiorenza, for inviting me. I'm so grateful for participating because belonging has a kind of big topic for me. When you said the word belonging, I remember back then, a few years ago, and there was a book called The Belonging or something like this. I was yearning to read it, and I was like, there's really a big topic for me about belonging. Because belonging, it's kind of like, in my own words, would be like feeling part of a group or feeling part of a community or feeling that you belong somewhere or to somebody or to a group of people. And as a person who is born kind of in a country where, you know, the physical appearance kind of always sets me apart, it's always question if I belong or not to friends. And even deeper within my family, in my community, because I'm a person who is between cultures, between two countries, like my parents' country, China, and France. I'm a blend and a mix of those two cultures. And I certainly belong to my Chinese family and to this French culture, but I've always in between. So I felt like there's this French expression called to have the ass between two chairs, you know, like you're not really on one chair or not on the other chair, but like you're in between, as if you just don't belong to any other parts. And it's really challenging for me because even in my own family, I've always felt like I'm the black sheep. I'm different. I'm the rebel. I'm the one who kind of challenged the cultural tradition. So even in my own family, I didn't feel that I really truly belong. So it was really difficult for me to find my own place in the world, in my family, in my community, and in my country. So I love this topic. So thank you for having me.
That's beautiful. Thank you for being here and for sharing all of this. So I'm curious, Anna, to know how you share a little bit of now being in these two chairs and this special that you have now with your group now that you create. What is the stories? What are the I don't want to call issues, but that you face it, situations that make you feel probably that you don't belong, or maybe that even other women or other people that have the same situation as yours.
But actually, it's very subtle, the things that make us feel as women, Asian women in a Western country, that we don't belong. First, the most obvious thing is like our face, kind of like in a group of people in France, when you walk in the street, people kind of look at you, or they kind of like always have this thought that like, they always ask you like, where do you come from? Like, when did you arrive? Where were you born? We kind of like, they always have this underlying thought that you're not from here. Mm-hmm. And I just always want to tell them, but I'm French. I was born here and I studied here. I had the same cultural reference as you. I am French. And that's just by the fact that I have always the need to reclaim that each time I'm talking to a stranger, it's kind of like make me feel that I don't belong, or they mm-hmm. kind of reflect it back. Mm-hmm. And it's like all these subtleties, like you were looking for a job. They always like, you know, this, we call that microaggression, or they have these stereotypes about who you are as a person. They kind of like, you're an Asian person, they think that you're good in math, or they think that you're more silent, or they think that you're, I don't know, you eat dog, and now with the COVID that you have the disease, like just mm-hmm. because of how you look, it always sets you apart.
Yeah. And we also, the microaggression is something very important, and I say, we also talk about this with other guests, is that I would say that thankfully in some way nowadays we can say this, name this in a good way, that even with clients that this exists, and we can say, not just feel, but we can talk.
You can put some words on that.
Exactly.
And it's been, I think, a journey for me, and in my work with some of my coaching clients, to see how they were reacting to the microaggressions. Some people, shared with me that someone they were working with maybe has said, I felt that what you said there was a microaggression. And when I say it's a journey, because I think it needs self-awareness first to actually realize that what you're saying, maybe you had just, curiosity, genuine curiosity, whatever it is, but just being aware of the impact it can have on someone else. The tone, or just the words itself that are being used in such a question. And I think now having the words microaggression, I don't feel it existed a few years ago. It wasn't discussed as much. He is helpful. He is definitely helpful. The question I wanted to ask you, Anna, is around this community of women that you have created and that you are leading. What impact does it have on your own journey towards belonging?
I love that question, because I remember when you shared with me the presentation of the Belonging Project, you asked me, there was the question about like share the first time you felt that you belong. And like I shared in the beginning, it has been a big issue for me, the belonging sensation within me. I felt that I didn't really belong in my family. I didn't belong in this country, or like I want to belong, but I kind of like this uneasiness all the time, discomfort, like it just doesn't really work. And when I started this Instagram page, I don't know, there was a spark of intuition that came to me that I needed to share that. And I just decided to share my own experience. And as I shared through a post after post and after post, I kind of somehow gathered people who were like me, people who experienced some different experience that was similar to mine, but not totally like in parallel. Some of them, they were like, oh, I felt the same too. Some of them, not really. And the more they shared with me, the more I shared with them, the more I felt that we belong and we had a common experience. And it was amazing to feel that. And, every time I publish something, there's always somebody who sends me a message thank you for sharing that. I feel less alone. Kind of like they belong somehow. And it's the most common thing. They always tell me, I feel less alone. And somehow I felt alone before. And each post makes me feel less alone, more belonging to this community.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. That I was also there is a video from Simon Sinek that I watched this week that he said that we just not just, but there is this when we are able to provide this service to others, we are really fulfilled with ourselves. Not that too, it's kind of like giving to others. He also mentioned about the alcoholic people. There is the last step to be checked. Now they want is to help another alcoholic. So the acts of service is the way that we can heal ourselves and fulfill ourselves. And you are the proof that you are doing this now in this community that you are leading. Here in the United States, I don't know if you heard, there was this also this sad thing that happened with Asian American community a few weeks ago. And you mentioned about the some issues now with the COVID situation in the pandemic with the Asian community. What is the message? What would you like to say? Let's say that we could now, if people could hear now what's here in the bottom of your heart. Now I know how this. I have talked with Asian American people. Being an Asian woman with doing this work, beautiful work that you are doing, what would you like to say to the world about what Asian communities are living nowadays?
It's hard to speak about that because actually, now we are living in a time that we are so aware that there's a racism against Asian Americans or Asian in general in the world, especially us who live in the Western world, and people are like pointing fingers or people are beating us up just for no reason or for stupid reason, like associating us with the virus or blaming us, being the scapegoat of that. And, for many, many years, I was not aware of the racism. There was racism, there was microaggression, there was that. But like, because of this situation, it really brings this topic and it just like makes blown away. And like, I'm kind of like not mind blown, but like makes me scared, makes me like open my eyes on that on this topic that was not even, I was living with it, but not really, I was living in discomfort with it, but not being scared of the racism. Now today, it happens that when I walk in the street, last time I remember, there was a guy just like crossing my road and having the image of all the things happening and all the things happening in the world. And yeah, the other day I was walking down the street and there was this guy walking towards me, and it never happens. And I never was scared in my life, in France, that I would be attacked because I look Asian, even though I had a mask. And this was just a random guy. He was maybe in his 50s or 40s. And he just looked at me and I'm like, oh my God, he could punch me or he could attack me. I never felt like this ever in my life. And for that reason. And the thing is, being a target for just being who we are is the most horrible thing. And it's like blind, it's totally blind. You see the videos that it's a person walking down the elevator, and the guy is just walking down in an elevator with you, and he just begins to punch you because, I don't know, he has a bad day. He just needs to blame Asian people. And us, we have no power about that. We didn't decide there would be a virus on the other side of the world coming from China. It's not made by Chinese, or it's not a bomb that Chinese decide to put upon the world. We're just paying for something that we have no power upon it. And we're just kind of like, we're scared, but we just need to say that we are as people as other people, and it's really hard these days to realize that and feel this racism. Because when I grew up, I thought that somehow naively that racist people would be racist again, let's say in the most like the African or Muslim, and I never thought that would exist for Asians. And it's weird to realize actually it does exist, and it became crazy and it's violent and it has no name and it's blind towards us nowadays.
Yeah, and so sad thinking also that we are in the 2021, right? With so many things that happen in the history that could be a lesson, after wars and things that we are still seeing this kind of situations that is really upsetting for sure. Mm-hmm. Nobody needs to be in fear for being who we are.
What tips would you give to someone who is really struggling right now, who maybe lives in France and is part of the Asian community, just struggling because of all the events and all this racism that is maybe bursting these days? What would you say?
It's kind of difficult to give tips because we're really in the middle and midst of it. For me, what helps me is just to understand the mechanism of racism, to educate ourselves, because and not to watch too many of these scary videos. It just feeds itself. It just makes it crazy. Or if you feel like you're powerless, what can you do to make you feel less powerless? Can you speak? Can you educate others? Can you go help another person who might be in need as well? Do you want to do any creative project to participate, to give funds? If you're scared, can you have people walking outside with you? Because it's okay to be scared. Mm-hmm. And actually the confinement kind of helps, because if you don't want to go out, everything nowadays is kind of helping us not to go out, so it's okay. And if you're scared, you can talk to somebody, to a therapist, to your friends, to other people who are Asian like you. And there are some association as well who does a lot of communication around that. Or come to kind of account like mine, talk to me, to talk to people who are experiencing the same. Together, we feel more safe. We feel heard and seen, and we are never alone, actually. Our community is very big, and we kind of have this common shared emotions together, and it's okay to express the thing that we're uncomfortable with.
Yeah, ask for help, right?
Yes.
It's okay to ask for help. Changing a little bit, Anna, what is the most some cultural aspect that you see now being in these two seats? Now changing a little bit more light here in the subject. To be some cultural aspects of being in this in the Eastern community, like in the France or in Europe. I don't know, whatever comes to your mind in the cultural aspect that you see, some cultural shock or something that you integrate in your the French culture is now even parts of Anna, some of the cultural aspect that you see being in the two sides.
Two sides. When you talk about cultural aspect or whatever, integrated, I remember I wrote something on my Instagram page, when I was growing up, I lived and I watched the TV. I live in France and I celebrate the French traditions. This thing for me, even now, is super important. It's the Christmas. In Christmas, that's decoration, people giving gifts and doing this. And actually, I discovered only at age 20 how the white French people would celebrate Christmas. And they would have the long dinners or long meals with the family. They would have a starter. They would have this chicken or it would be big. They would eat for such long hours. They would have chocolates and all. They would have a big tree at home. It was a real event, And when I was at home, I remember at home and when I was growing up, and they were talking about Santa Claus, and they would talking about this old guy coming through your chimney and giving you the present, and just the kids didn't know that he didn't exist, And when I was growing up, I was like, come on. I didn't have a house. I didn't have a chimney. Oh, it was just in France, they are condemned. You cannot, it's not open. And I was like, he cannot go through the chimney. There's no chimney. It's closed and we don't have a tree. Where will he put the present? And my parents would ask me what do you want as a present? And I would tell them. So there would be no mystery, no Christmas magic. And I'm like, okay. And you would know. And I was a bit ashamed of that. I didn't have that kind of Christmas magic. And I remember in my account when I shared that I didn't believe in Christmas, in Santa Claus, and I didn't have a Christmas like they used to have. And I asked them what did you do for Christmas? And they would tell me the most heartwarming Christmas, how the Asian culture and the French culture just blend. That they would say that I had Vietnamese fondue and I would eat nem and I would have red envelopes. Usually you have red envelopes. And each of the experience they described, it was just for me so heartwarming because for me, it was not good enough what I had. But actually it was just a blend of those the two cultures together. And I'm like, oh my God, it was not good enough. It was just how we take that culture ours and made ours. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so great. I want more of that kind of cross-culture traditions.
Yeah, that's such a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And I mean, what comes to mind is growing up in a multicultural family as well. It took me a few years. When I was a child, I didn't realize that some of the tradition that we had were just made up by my parents because they were like, oh, we like this from the French culture, for example, and we like this from the Italian culture, and then we're going to create something out of it. I had no idea. I thought that everyone was having the same tradition. And I probably spent my whole childhood like that. And then kind of going into the teenage years, I realized it was a bit of a shock. What? You're not having that? What do you mean? And yeah, it's interesting. I would go one step further. It's fascinating how each multicultural family is bringing, this blend of cultures in their home, what they are creating with it, or maybe not creating with it, because maybe there's a tradition from your home culture that doesn't resonate with you, so you're not necessarily going to model it for your kids or for your family. And it's just so fascinating to see how you just end up with so many different blends, right? Yes. So many different possibilities.
And the beauty, right, of the blending. Right.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be this way or that way, but it could be.
But actually, the way we made it makes it more diverse and more rich than just the uniform way of celebrating Christmas, the way you see it on TV. The way we celebrate it, there's some nem in it. There's some, I don't know, the Asian Santa. It's so unique and so it's just our Christmas. And me, I kind of developed some maybe shame of not having the normal one, but who cares in the end? But only now at age 37, I know who cares. But before, when I grew up, I want the same one as what is normal to have,
Yes.
Yeah. And to go back to our main theme of belonging, what would you say, Anna, are the main factors for someone to feel like they belong?
To feel that you belong is first to be able to be heard, to see that who you are is accepted entirely, and you don't have to fit in, or you don't have to do something especially, or stretch yourself out of yourself to feel like you need to do something to belong, or to have to fulfill somebody's expectation. Kind of like, or if it's conditional. For example, my parents, they wanted me to marry a Chinese person. They wanted me to do this and this and that. I didn't belong because they didn't see me, who I am. There was no place of for me to be just me as a whole and true. To belong is to be able to be true, authentic, and to have no part that you need to hide or you cannot bring on the table. But for example, now I feel like I belong in this community because every post that I post, it comes from this part of myself that I used to be maybe ashamed of. That I never talked about, or I felt like I had to hide it. But like now, it's more like, what do I have in the drawer that I can bring on table? And I'm like, if I have ever felt it that I was ever uncomfortable about, I can talk about it, even if nobody resonates with it, but nobody's going to judge me for that. It is like, this is the most amazing thing. And before that Instagram page, I would be so scared to be judged. I would be so scared that nobody would understand me. And today is not the case anymore. And it's so freeing.
Beautiful. Beautiful words. No, nothing to add. Just beautiful. Yeah. Let's do our quick questions.
So the first question is, in a few words, belonging for me is?
Authenticity, being true, being part of something, and being accepted and feeling loved and supported.
Beautiful.
The best advice that I've received and that I'd like to share with others is?
I resonate a lot with this saying. I don't know if I guess it's from Gandhi, saying that my life is my message. It's kind of like you have to live what you want to preach. Kind of like you need to put in action what you believe in or what you're saying. And for example, I started my life change, my life transition, leaving my job that I didn't like, or pursuing my dream because I don't know why I didn't have any children at the time, and I wanted to be able one day to tell my child, go make your dream come true. And I couldn't say it if I didn't do it for myself. So I decided that second that I'm going to do it. So one day I'm going to be able to tell that to him or her at the time.
So the last question is about the world being a better place. So the world would be a better place if?
It's hard to answer. Because when I answer, I'm scared to be the next Miss Universe.
No worries, no judgment here.
No. At the same time, you want to change the world, but at the same time, kind of like so many incredible things happened to me. And I'm like, I needed that kind of experience to grow and to challenge myself and to be exactly where I am now. So like, it's hard.
There's probably timings for things and just how they happened on your journey, right?
Yes, because like when I look at it right now, with my community, even if it's really new and it's like it can disappear from tomorrow completely, it's okay. It's happened 6 months ago only, but before that I was struggling. I felt alone, but like I'm really appreciative and I'm really grateful for that, because for so long I was alone. Because for so long I was not understood and was not myself. I could have never said what I told you about belonging and being kind of like deciding to take all the thing that was in the drawers, like talk about it. And I want to improve the world in a kind of like, but because it was shitty at some point, that now it's good.
Like we need the experience, not
yes,
through our experience, our own journey.
Yeah, Even if it's difficult, it's okay because we're strong enough to face it.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Anna, for being with us. Thank you for sharing your story, and everything that you share is so rich and powerful. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for asking all these questions. I cannot say it by myself, and it's because you really heard and understood what I was saying.
Thank you for listening to the Belonging Project podcast. We hope you enjoy our deep dive into belonging and listening amazing stories from our guests.
We'd love you to share about the Belonging Project with your friends and colleagues. And also, we'd be delighted to connect on LinkedIn and share more about our experiences. Thank you again, and stay tuned for the next episode.